In a stunning geopolitical twist, China and Saudi Arabia have unleashed a seismic shockwave, jointly sanctioning Israel with a bold move, cutting off vital oil supplies. The repercussions are global, reshaping economies and sparking tensions. Join us as we unravel the motives, consequences, and unprecedented alliance between two oil giants that could reshape the world order. In a world where global relations are shaped by both international tensions and economic alliances, energy resources have always played a pivotal role. Among these resources, oil stands out as a major player, often wielded as a tool of foreign policy by nations. Recently, two heavyweight players in the global oil market, China and Saudi Arabia, have grabbed headlines with a decision that could send shockwaves through the international arena. Together, they've declared sanctions on Israel, a move that severs the vital oil supplies to the nation. This unprecedented decision marks a significant departure from conventional international diplomacy with the potential to redefine the global energy landscape, impact economies, and ignite geopolitical tensions. To fully grasp the weight of this situation, it's essential to unravel the intricate dynamics within the China-Saudi Arabia-Israel triangle. China, as the largest global oil importer, and Saudi Arabia, a key oil producer and exporter, have long maintained a strategic partnership centered around the trade of oil. On the flip side, Israel, a technologically advanced yet small nation in the heart of the Middle East, has consistently been a source of contention and conflict with its Arab neighbors, including enduring tensions with Saudi Arabia. The China-Saudi Arabia-Israel triangle weaves a complex tapestry of relationships influenced by geopolitics, energy dynamics, and historical animosities. The joint decisions by China and Saudi Arabia to enforce sanctions on Israel finds its roots in their shared geopolitical interests. Both nations aspire to enhance their influence in the Middle East, positioning themselves as major global players. Taking a firm stance against Israel allows them to garner favor from the Arab world, which has a history of condemning Israel's policies towards the Palestinians. This strategic move aligns with their overarching goal of securing political and economic leverage in the region. Saudi Arabia, serving as the guardian of Islam's holiest site and a significant player in the Arab world, is particularly attuned to matters concerning the Palestinians. Through the act of sanctioning Israel, Saudi Arabia seeks to bolster its image as a defender of Arab interests, aiming to garner support from its Arab allies in the region. Furthermore, this decision may serve to divert attention from internal challenges and solidify domestic support. China's expanding influence in the Middle East is propelled by its insatiable demand for energy resources and its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. The BRI encompasses extensive infrastructure projects against Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, with the latter region holding a pivotal role. By joining forces with Saudi Arabia in imposing sanctions on Israel, China strategically reinforces its foothold in the region. By taking a decisive stance against Israel, China is strategically aiming to cement its foothold in the region and safeguard the security of its energy supply routes. The immediate repercussion of China and Saudi Arabia's joint decision to impose sanctions on Israel is the disruption of the global oil market. Given Saudi Arabia's position as one of the largest oil exporters and China's status as the leading oil importer, the move could trigger an oil embargo, leading to a surge in oil prices. This, in turn, could send shockwaves through economies globally, particularly in the United States and Europe, heavily reliant on Saudi oil. These nations may grapple with energy shortages, price surges, and potential inflation, creating a landscape of economic instability. In a region already plagued by instability and conflict, the sanctions on Israel have the potential to escalate tensions, possibly leading to an intensification of hostilities. Feeling isolated and under threat, Israel might respond militarily, drawing in other regional players. Such a scenario could further destabilize an already volatile region, with repercussions extending far beyond the Middle East. Furthermore, these sanctions underscore the vulnerabilities of nations heavily dependent on oil. As the world increasingly pivots towards renewable and sustainable energy sources in the fight against climate change, the reliance on fossil fuels becomes a strategic liability. This situation may serve as a wake-up call for countries to expedite their transition to cleaner energy alternatives, thereby reducing their dependence on oil-producing nations. The joint sanctions by China and Saudi Arabia convey a potent message of diplomatic isolation to Israel. This isolation may prompt Israel to reevaluate its policies and approach to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It could also spur other nations to adopt a more critical stance on Israel's actions, potentially reinvigorating international efforts to broker lasting peace in the region. China's alignment with Saudi Arabia against Israel underscores its expanding influence in the Middle East and its readiness to leverage economic influence for geopolitical purposes. This move could pave the way for China to emerge as a more significant player in shaping regional dynamics, challenging the traditional roles of the United States and Russia in the Middle East. The China-Saudi Arabia-Israel triangle serves as a noteworthy example of how alliances in the international arena are evolving, with traditional partnerships being tested and nations increasingly pursuing their individual interests. Sometimes, in alignment with unexpected partners, geopolitical landscapes become more fluid and unpredictable. The sanctions underscore the global importance of energy security. Nations worldwide are likely to reassess their energy strategies, aiming to diversify sources and reduce vulnerability to geopolitical disruptions in the oil market. This shift could accelerate the transition to renewable energy and the development of domestic energy sources. The global community will encounter significant diplomatic challenges in managing the fallout from these sanctions. Diplomatic efforts will be crucial to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East, address the energy needs of affected nations, and navigate the complex web of relationships in the region. Furthermore, the China-Saudi Arabia-Israel sanctions raise important questions about the role of international institutions and mechanisms in resolving conflicts and managing global crises. The United States, a long-standing ally of Israel, now faces a delicate diplomatic challenge, balancing its commitment to Israel's security with the imperative to maintain fruitful relationships with China and Saudi Arabia, both pivotal to its economic and geopolitical interests, demands nuanced diplomacy and strategic decision-making. From Israel, these sanctions serve as a stark reminder of its vulnerability on the international stage. Despite robust support from the United States, the sanctions reveal the limitations of its diplomatic leverage, especially when confronted with the combined economic influence of China and Saudi Arabia. Israel may need to reassess its approach to regional conflicts, exploring more inclusive and negotiated solutions to its enduring disputes. Conversely, the sanctions possess the potential to rekindle international efforts to address the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The global community, encompassing the United Nations and regional organizations, may seize this moment to re-engage in diplomacy, advocating for a peaceful resolution that accommodates the legitimate concerns of both Israelis and Palestinians. These sanctions also underscore the critical importance of energy security in a rapidly evolving world. As nations grapple with the consequences in their reliance on oil, there may be a renewed emphasis on energy diversifications and sustainability. This could prompt increased investments in renewable energy sources, advancements in energy-efficient technologies, and a reevaluation of global energy supply chains. Amidst these developments, it's essential to consider the impact on ordinary citizens. Escalating oil prices resulting from the sanctions can have cascading effects on the cost of living, transportation, and industrial production in numerous countries. The burden of such economic disruptions often disproportionately falls on vulnerable populations, emphasizing the need for governments to implement policies that alleviate adverse effects. The joint sanctions by China and Saudi Arabia against Israel mark a significant geopolitical event with far-reaching implications. They underscore the intricacies of modern international relations, where traditional alliances can shift and economic interests can take precedence over historical loyalties. The global community must respond with careful diplomacy, a commitment to international law and norms, and a renewed focus on addressing the root causes of conflict in the Middle East. As the world grapples with the repercussions of these sanctions, it becomes evident that the landscape of international politics is in a state of flux, and nations must adapt to these changing dynamics to navigate an ever-complex global order. The path forward will necessitate cooperation, compromise, and a renewed commitment to building a more stable and equitable world. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Subscribe for top-notch videos dissecting international relations and staying updated on the latest in the car world. Join us on this knowledge-packed journey. Hit that subscribe button now.